It happened when I was in my early 20s. I'd just started a new job working the late shift at a convenience store. I loved the job, but I dreaded the early nights of winter. Darkness would settle by 5 p.m., and walking to the bus stop after sundown wasn't exactly comforting. That night, I was running late. The bus, for some reason, hadn't shown up. Anxiously, I checked the time on my phone. Already 20 minutes late. My parents had always warned me to avoid the cemetery near our route, especially after dark. But my shift was starting soon, and I couldn't afford to wait any longer. I decided to walk to the next stop. The store wasn't far, 5 stops at most. The crisp night air stung my face as I walked, but the movement helped calm my nerves, or at least it did at first. After about 10 minutes, I reached the next stop. It was eerily isolated. No houses, no street lights, just a bench under the stars. As I stood there, a chill crept up my spine. My phone had no signal. The surrounding silence was deafening. I figured I'd better keep moving. The road ahead was darker than I expected, lined with thick trees. That's when I saw it. Headlights. Relief washed over me. Finally, I thought, the bus was here. But as I got closer, I realized it wasn't a bus. It was a white van. The van was parked in the middle of the road, its engine idling, and the driver's door hung wide open. My gut told me to turn back, but the thought of being late kept me walking. As I passed the van, the smell of exhaust hit me. I glanced inside. The driver's seat was empty, and then I saw it, the cemetery gate. The gate loomed in the moonlight, its rusty hinges casting jagged shadows. The van's placement made no sense. Who would leave their car here of all places? A sudden noise snapped me out of my thoughts. A scream. It was distant but unmistakable. A child's scream. My heart pounded as I approached the gate. Every instinct told me to turn back, but I couldn't ignore it. I slipped through the opening, the cold air pressing against me like a warning. The cemetery was massive. Tombstones scattered haphazardly across uneven ground. I crept forward, ears straining for another sound. Then I heard it, a metallic clang. My breath caught as I followed the noise to a clearing. There, in the pale light of the moon, stood an old mausoleum. The digging grew louder. I edged around the building, my footsteps barely audible against the dirt, and then I saw them. A figure hunched over, wielding a shovel. Their movements were frantic, almost desperate. My stomach churned as I realized the figure was near a freshly dug grave. That's when they stopped. The figure turned their head slowly, as if sensing my presence. In the dim light, I couldn't make out their face, but the way they stood, rigid, motionless, sent a chill through me. I stumbled back, accidentally kicking a loose rock. The sound echoed, and the figure snapped toward me. My legs burned as I sprinted back toward the gate. The air seemed heavier, the shadows deeper. I could hear footsteps behind me, fast and uneven. The gate came into view, and I pushed myself harder, desperate to escape. Just as I reached the gate, I heard it, the creak of it closing. I turned, heart pounding. Standing at the gate was a girl, pale and still. She didn't look scared. She didn't even look lost. She just stared at me, and she wasn't alone. Behind her, shadows moved unnaturally, blending into the night. Her eyes locked with mine for a moment that felt like forever. Then, she turned and disappeared into the darkness, the shadows swallowing her whole. I didn't stop running until I got home. I didn't care about the job anymore. I just wanted to feel safe. The next morning, I saw a news report about a white van abandoned near the cemetery. It was linked to a string of kidnappings, mostly children. The driver was never found. I thought about telling someone what I saw, but every time I tried, the memory of that girl and those shadows stopped me. To this day, I've never gone back to that cemetery, and I don't think I ever will.